I don't camp for the views. That's what I tell people at work when they ask why I sleep in my car. It's cheaper than a hotel, and I don't have to talk to anyone. That's most of it. My name's Adrian, 29. I manage logistics for a warehouse outside Erie, which mostly means I answer for things that aren't my fault. On weekends, I drive south into the Allegheny and park at gravel pull offs alongside forest roads. Fold the back seats down in my Civic, sleep there. It's not romantic, but it is quiet, and it's cheap. That weekend, I drove about 8 miles off the paved road, one of the narrower forest roads, washboard gravel, no service bars past the ranger station. It was good. There were already a car or two there when I pulled in, an older Subaru, I think, green, parked straight, like someone meant to stay for a while. No one around, no tent, no smoke, no trash, just the car. I waited a minute before getting out. I don't know why, a habit maybe. Nobody came out of the trees. I parked a little ways off from it, not right beside it. It feels a little intrusive to me. I didn't think about the car again that night. Second morning was colder than I expected up there. I'd run the dash heat longer than I meant to before falling asleep. I remember watching the clock on the stereo, 1:17 a.m. Then I awoke up to light through the windshield and that flat, wrong silence. When I turned the key, nothing happened. Not a click, not a struggle, just quiet. I tried again, same thing. I sat there for a while, I don't know how long, 10 minutes maybe. Strange how quickly your mind starts rearranging things. I knew I'd pushed the battery. I knew that. I just didn't expect it to die or for it to happen that fast. No service. I already knew that, but I checked anyway. Subaru was still there, same position. No one inside. I walked over and looked through the windows. Back seat was empty. Front seat was empty. There wasn't any condensation on the glass. I didn't knock. I'm not sure why I didn't knock. I popped my hood and stood there like that might help. The road stayed empty for 4 hours. I kept thinking I'd hear an engine from the highway direction, that low climb of sound, but nothing came from that side. Around noon, I heard something behind me instead, deeper in the forest road, the opposite direction. It was a flatbed. The truck came around the bend slow, big white cab. The driver leaned out the window before he even stopped. "Adrian?" he asked. He wasn't looking at the Subaru when he said it. He was looking at me. It took me a second. "No," I said. I didn't call anyone." He studied me like he was watching and matching something up. Then he nodded once. "I got reports of a few vehicles out here," he said. His eyes moved across the pull-off, not just the Subaru, but the whole gravel stretch. He climbed down, mid-40s maybe. His name patch on his jacket said Kurt. "Abandoned vehicle," Kurt said. "Forest Service flagged it." He gestured toward the Subaru, but didn't walk straight to it. He paused near my Civic first, looked at the hood, looked at the windshield. He kept his eyes on my vehicle, but said, "Subaru's been sitting here too long," casually. "How long?" I asked. "3 days, usually," Kurt said. He walked over to the Subaru and checked the VIN through the windshield. "I've been here 2 days," I said. He glanced at me. "I know," he said. It was quiet after that. He wrote something on a pad. Then he looked at my open hood. "Your battery dead?" he asked. "Yeah, I ran the heat too long," I responded. He nodded like that fit. "That happens," he said. While he backed the flatbed into position for the Subaru, I asked, "How'd they know it was here?" He pointed up to the trees. "Motion cams," he said. "They monitor the pull-offs." I followed his hand. Sure enough, there was a small box mounted high on a pine, 15 feet up maybe, the same color as the bark. "They know when you pull in," Kurt said, "when you leave. Mostly for illegal dumping, sometimes other things." He didn't explain that. They got dispatched from town about 2 or 3 hours ago, he said. I was already headed out. 3 hours ago, I said. Yeah, he responded. But it was past noon. I hadn't tried the ignition until maybe 10 minutes after I woke up, and it hadn't even clicked. If dispatch came in 3 hours ago, someone reported something before I knew there was a problem. I didn't say that part out loud. Instead, I asked, would they have sent someone if my car didn't start? Kurt clipped the last cable on my battery and held it there for a second longer than he needed to. Well, they'd have flagged you at day 3, he said. You were getting close. You. He stepped back and told me to try the engine. It turned over immediately, no hesitation, like it had been waiting. He didn't charge me for the jump, just said, don't run it all night. He loaded the Subaru without checking it again, flipped it down, secured it. No bags inside, no gear, nothing that suggested someone had been staying in it. Before getting back into the truck, he looked at my car one more time. You're good now, he said. He didn't say it like a question. He drove the same direction he'd come from, deeper into the forest road, before turning around somewhere out of sight. I never saw him again. I stood there a minute after the sound faded. Then I got in my car and left immediately. I drove straight into town. There's a ranger station off Route 6, small building, flag out front, a clearing. I went in and asked about the motion cameras. The woman at the desk looked confused. We don't monitor pull-offs like that, she said. What about for abandoned vehicles? I clarified. She shook her head. Well, we rely on patrols and public reports. I described the camera on the tree, the height, the placement. She said there aren't any out there installed by us. I asked if it was maybe new, a pilot program maybe. She said no. I asked about the Subaru. She checked a system and said that no abandoned vehicle report had been filed that morning or even that week. I stood there longer than I needed to. Are you sure? I asked. Yeah, she said. I asked if any rangers or Forest Service personnel had been on a patrol recently, if she could even tell me that. And she said that they hadn't, not in that area. Her tone wasn't defensive, just certain. I thanked her and left. I drove back out that afternoon. I told myself I just wanted to see that tree again. The pull-off was empty, no Subaru, no flatbed tracks that I could clearly make out, though the gravel was disturbed. I looked up at the pine where Kurt had pointed. There was no camera. It was gone. Not even the mounting hardware, just bark. I walked around the other trees, checked higher up, circled the gravel twice. Nothing. It would have been obvious. A box against bark. I would have seen it now that I was looking. I stood there a while listening. It was very quiet. After a few minutes, a sedan pulled in from the highway direction. That couple in their 50s stepped out to stretch. They didn't look at me. I got in my car and left. I don't camp in the Allegheny anymore. There are other forests, other pull-offs. I don't run the heat overnight now. I set an alarm if I need to. I haven't had battery trouble since. Now I carry a jumper as well, so that I'm never in that situation again. I try not to replay those events in my mind. Maybe I misheard. Maybe the ranger was new. Maybe the camera was removed that afternoon after I left. I don't know. I just know that someone was already on their way before I needed them.